here we are, just begin the streaming, and we are continue the lessons and the classes that we are doing yesterday. Is it the stream all right? Are you? Yeah? About sound also? Okay. So yesterday we promote a server to domain controller. We also create some organization units. We had users to those organization units, and we also create groups and add the users to groups, but we didn't test how the users will have different permissions regarding the permissions that we give to shares for some groups. Right now we have here all the users are in each group, in each organization unit, and we also are going to apply some group policy objects, some GPOs here, but the first video that you have to do, that we are here to show, is just to can you close the door? Thank you. Is just to see some features that we had to the compute to the system. So first of all, you've got here on tools. Yeah, I didn't show yesterday, but you have here DNS, domain name service or server, and the DNS is a piece of software that's quite important in Windows Active Directories. Here he installed all the forward lookup zone. This is perhaps the zone that has more requests for name resolution, and here you have the domain. You create already the start of authority and the name server, and also the host address in IPv4 for the network that he knows. So he have this network here, 10.02.15. It's a network that is connected directly to the one, and this IP address is the IP address that will be used for the computers to communicate with Windows Server, and this is the reason why I have this these records, and also the host name of those records. First thing, there is also here reverse lookup zones. The reverse lookup zones is the DNS doesn't only provide resolution from names to IPs, but it can also make the opposite. That is, with name you can check what is the IP. Before you configure this, we're going to add the Windows 10 that we have here yesterday, and right now you can check that he is not domain is not on the domain. It's on local user, and before we do this information in chapter settings, yesterday we provided static IP address. This is the static IP address, but it doesn't have no DNS server. So we have to provide also the DNS server. Instead of writing a static DNS server, let's use the DHCP from the Windows Server to fulfill all these options to the client. So we're going again to the server, and on the server we're going to add another software. So you've got add rules and features, and right now next, installation type, next, and server selection. This is the server that we want to control. Then next, and here you can see that DNS server is already installed, so you have DHCP server. So you select that box, add features, next, and next again. There are other things to add, but you don't need it to add it right now. Next, and then you confirm the server, and right now is installing the DHCP service. DHCP Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It's a very useful application that provides IP address, gateway or router gateway, domain names and so on to clients who don't have the IP address statically configured. So we have installed DHCP. Right now you got a yellow sign here saying that the DHCP is completely configured, but you can the DHCP is installed, but we can configure DHCP configuration. So let's configure. First of all, this is the user. Since DHCP is installed, and the DHCP will work together with the DNS, doing the binding of the names of the clients that the DHCP provides, the IP address and all the information, and pick that information and write it down on DNS server. So we need to allow the DHCP to write on DNS server. To do so, we have to authorize. You can use as your administrator, because it needs to be someone in the administration of the Active Directory that can provide the guarantee or can authorize DHCP to write information to DNS. So we say commit. And right now the DHCP is already authorized to write those records on DNS database. So then let's go to tools, and in DHCP here we have the FQDN, full qualified domain name of the service that we are providing. DHCP it can provide information on both IP protocols, version 4 and version 6, and we're going to configure on version 4. This is the easy part and probably what's most used inside our LANs, our local area networks. So before that, if you click on write on the IPv4, you can create a new scope. Before that, just pay attention. That's a green sign here saying that this DHCP is authorized on the server, because if you click on it, you can unauthorize it. Okay, and when you do so, when you do so, and then you press F5 to refresh, you'll see that is a red sign saying that the DHCP can be working, can provide information to clients, but that information is not going to be updated on DNS records. So let's authorize again, and after we authorize, you check that right now it's green. So let's create here a new scope. A scope has a name that, since DHCP can work for many networks, and you can have more than one network on our LAN, you'll say that this is the main network, if you wish. You can make a description here, doesn't matter. Then you say next, and right now you'll say what's the IP range that you will provide to the clients. The IP range will be from 192.168.10, and then according to the characteristics of our network, you can say that can provide 10, 100, or 200 or perhaps more, but not much more, IPs to all the clients. So we say that we'll start at IP 10. Why 10? Why not 1? 1 is the IP address of our network interface. Second, sometimes we have also servers, and all the servers must have a static IP address. So we start to provide IP address from 10s. So we reserved at least 9 IP address for servers that we might have in our network. And then it will end in 192.168.10.200, for instance. We also have here 54, 53 IP addresses available for static servers or other hosts that we have in our network. Then we have the length of the subnet mask. The subnet mask will also be provided to clients. And so we say next. And we have exclusions and delay. What's an exclusion? You can exclude from that range from IP from 10 to 200. You can exclude 10 or 5 or a range of IPs that you want not to provide to clients. Generally, you can place in that IP, that range of IPs that we exclude, the network, the printers, because the printers, as you're going to configure, can have and must have IP, static IP that is provided according to MAC address. Right now, we are not going to make any exclusion. And say next. And here is the lease. The lease of the protocol, this lease is from 8 days. It can be higher or lower, but it depends on the type of the network you are working on. Suppose that you are working on a normal network based on Ethernet and on copper, generally on a LAN, 8 days is enough because it's a week, and also the process, the DHCP process in the middle of this range, the client and the server will negotiate again for another offer. And so for not providing too many communications between client and the server, since there will be traffic on the network, you will provide 8 days or perhaps more to the same client. I say next. And there are DHCP options that you can provide and can configure right now. So let's configure. First of all, the router or the default gateway. You have to check at our drawing and see that this is the computer. The computer will be connected to this interface, and so if this computer wants to go to another network, say to the one, he has to go through this interface. So the gateway for this computer will be this IP address. There is this interface of the Windows server. So we'll say that will be 192.168.10.1. Of course, if you have a different network and different structure or network, if you have here, for instance, a router or something, the IP will be the IP of the router, not this IP. So we say next. Now here is something that's quite important, and since Microsoft or the Windows will need it's to give also the parent domain to the client, because there will be sometimes NetBIOS protocols that will need to work with the secondary level domain of the Windows domain, so they can communicate. To do so, we will provide also a parent domain. Second, you need to give the IP address of the DNS server. This DNS server, right now, it's the DNS server for the Active Directory, but you can also provide other IPs from other DNS servers that will resolve some other host to names or names to host information. Then you say next. Wing servers. Wing servers, this was a feature that was applied on Windows NT and have been replaced by Active Directory since Windows 2000, and generally is not used. You don't need to configure. I don't know why it's still here. Then next, and want to restart the scope, and so we restart the scope. So right now you have here the scope, address pools starting from 10, finish on 200, address lists. Right now you don't have no list and you don't have no reservation also. Scope options, this is the important part. You can also add other options here, such as you can place here let us say NTP. NTP was in the beginning, right? Time server, okay, saying what's the IP of the NTP server on your network, other broadcast address, perform max discover, and other features. Generally, or ARP cache timeout, to say how much time your address resolution protocol will be clear up, in which time, and other features. Now, the DHCP is running. You can check if you go to the commands prompt and if you write service, for instance, service MSC, I think, yeah. And here you have the service. And these are the services that are running or should be running. Some of them are not. And if you order by name or from status, you will find out that here you will have DHCP server. It is running, and you have so DHCP client. DHCP client, why? Because we have our network. We have a network that is working on NAT and is receiving IP from VirtualBox. So now let's go to our Windows 10. It's somewhere else here, and here you have the Windows 10. Let's run the command prompt again. I thought that this was configured. It's not. Just a second. And the phone 24, okay, and so ipconfig/all. Hey, this is our this is the configuration that we have on Windows 10, and right now I've got default gateway. They're already configured, the IP address, but this is static, and he has no DNS suffix, and this will be provided by the DHCP. So right now you have to obtain IP address automatically. Okay, close. He says that right now you find out there is a yourname.local, so DHCP on the server is already running and providing information. Say yes, and right now we should have 192 ipconfig, the first IP of our pool, and here it is. So right now you got yourname.local DNS suffix. This is the first IP of our pool, netmask. When it was obtained, the lease, when it finished, 8 days, as we configured default gateway, DHCP server that provided, and DNS server also. And right now, you can check if the DNS, do you have a problem out there? Right now you can check if the DNS is working. You can ping by name, saying your name, for instance, and it's your name or surname, I think surname, right? Surname. If you ping surname, you see that right now you've got the reply, the echo reply from our ping, and we ping the hostname, surname, and this information was provided when we tried to make the ping. So this is DNS resolution, and here is the echo reply, the 4 echo reply that the interface on the server gave us. So this is surname, your name dot local. That means that the DNS, we inquire the DNS by surname, and he already provides us DNS resolution. But our computer is not yet on the domain. Before you go to domain, if you ping a reverse ping, or if you say ping /a -a, and suppose that you want to know what is the host name of this IP. You know that this IP is the surname, or the FKDN. We've got a problem there. You know that the IP is the FKDN is this IP here. So when you do a ping -a, it means that we'll try to make the reverse DNS resolution. That is, from an IP, it will give us the name. So we press enter. Enter. And we have surname here because this is the domain, but we didn't have the complete FKDN resolution. And in our server, now let's go to our server, let's go to DNS, and on DNS let's configure reverse lookup zones. To do so, it's quite easy. Let's create a reverse lookup zones for our zone, for your name.local. So you press right click, new zone, next. That will be a primer zone, next. To all the DNS running on domain controls, there are other options. I'm not going to speak about them right now. Next, we're going to make only for IPv4 lookup zone, and Windows is quite helpful because in Linux you don't have this ability. You just write the network ID, and here you can check that this is the reverse lookup zone name. Say next. Allow only secure dynamic updates. This is only for Active Directory, and secure dynamic updates are made because we have authorized the DHCP on the DNS to make those writing of those records on the DNS database. Then we finish, and right now we have the reverse zone already made it. This will help when we want to add the computer to the system, and that's what you're going to do right now. So this computer right now, it belongs to one work group. It's a Win10 client, and we're going to add this computer to the domain. So we make change settings, we make here change, and right now we just write here the domain. Domain is what? Your name, right? Your name dot local, I think, right? yourname.local. Let me check. Yeah, yourname.local. So we're going to belong to yourname.local. He said OK, and right now he asks for a user that is in the domain that has permissions to add computers to the domain. You could say administrator, but since yesterday, as we copied administrator to president, you can also write president and say the password of the president. You say OK, and is going to add this computer. Let me check just here. In Active Directory users and computers, right now you don't have no computer. After adding this Windows 10 to the domain, is taking some time because it's taking some sun, right? And have a refresh. Okay, welcome to your name local domain. Say it OK. We're going to restart the Windows 10 server, and here if you go to computers on Active Directory users and computers, right now you can see that we have this client. So the Windows 10 client, this is the computer that was added to our domain. Let me check about Windows 10. So when we are going to log in again, you've got student. This is a local account, but if you write another user, right now it shows here your name. So this is the NetBIOS name, and right now you can log in, since you have no restrictions, with any of these users that we had to the domain. So let's log in with Pilinha, Pedro Linha. So we write Pilinha and then the password. You can also, there are more two options to log in to the computer. You can write Pilinha and then @ and then your name.local, okay, and then you sign in with the password, or you can say before logging into the domain, you can write the NetBIOS name. So you write your name / and then the username and the password, and you log in also to the domain you want to log in. So I'm going to do the old-fashioned way, just like this. Pilinha, the password, and you can say the password. So it's a very secret password. Next, and right now you are logging in for the first time with this user on a computer, and this computer right now is asking credential informations from the Windows server. Easy peasy, right? Yeah. And so here you can check that right now you are logged in. Oops, you are logged in as just building something here. Just a second. Pedro Linha, that's the user. Okay. And that is for how long I am. How long is this live stream? Half an hour, perhaps more. How much? Half an hour? Yeah, so we'll stop here. You'll do this and then we'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back again. Okay, I can stop stream.